I'm here with American Standards. It is a very cold night. So first of all, let's hear the story. What happened tonight?
We had to find a weird route to get over here. So we're coming from Phoenix, so we couldn't come through Flagstaff like we normally do, and we couldn't take the 60 here, so we went through Tucson all the way up around, drove through 10 hours of snow, and then Corey's flight got canceled and we couldn't play the show.
So after 10 hours
After 10 hours of driving, here we are.
It was fun though, we still got to hang out at the show, right?
Yeah, no, we still got to see the show, all the bands were sick. So.
You got to see some people do some karaoke to like Korn and Slipknot, so
Yeah.
that was fun.
It's a good time.
Yeah.
Alright, and tomorrow is your show at Denver. You think that's gonna happen?
So I think we're gonna make it happen. Yeah.
Alright.
We'll be there.
Yeah. We'll be there to watch at least again.
It's like we were 30 minutes out from the venue when we found out this wasn't going to happen. We're like, let's just go to that venue. What else are we going to do?
Alright. So our first question is, how did you become American Standards?
Ooh. Corey, you can take this one.
I answered the Craigslist ad. No, there's more to it. So way before me, the dudes that were previously in the band were they were in a band as well, doing their thing, and then they decided to branch out. They snagged Brandon, he got them together, and then, like I said, I answered a Craigslist ad, and didn't have any equipment. Decided to go into Sam Ash, bought some used gear. Didn't think I was gonna really get in the band or whatnot, and here I am now. So
My favorite thing is like Corey played for the band for several years before we found out that he wasn't a bassist.
Yeah.
It wasn't until one of these when we found out that Corey didn't even play bass before the band.
Alright. So what does the name American Standards mean? What does
It means that we like plumbing
It's a
and all plumbing accessories and plumbers.
This is all a ploy to push toilets.
Yeah, it's a toilet company.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that we added an S to.
Honestly, like, I don't, like, so I know we answered this question a lot, but I think the funny thing is, I don't know if Corey remembers this, but we literally got in a room, like,
see, you had the band name before I even joined.
oh, were you weren't in, at
I
the
wasn't
time?
even in the band when you.
So literally the way it came together is like, we were sitting in a room with Cody, in Cody's living room,
Yeah.
and we were sitting there, and they, like, the popular thing at the time was just to add an S to anything.
Oh.
Like, to make any, like, random word plural. And I went in the restroom and I saw American Standard. I went out in the living room as a joke and just said, oh yeah, because Cody really wanted to call it barricades.
Mm.
And I'm like, oh, if we're just gonna add S to anything, let's just call it American Standards. And he's like, that's a really good idea. And I didn't think it was actually gonna
It's
stick. Like 9 years later.
Awesome.
Alright. You guys describe yourself as chaos-driven noise. Why is that?
We're not talented.
That's, yeah.
Well, I mean, I can't.
Mitch is talented.
Mitch is talented.
Which is really
Chaos-driven noise with a drummer. Yeah, no, it's probably just a thing, like, if we say that we're any genre, then everybody's gonna be like, they're not really
Well, or
hardcore.
even like, I don't know, and it's such a thing to put the title on it, but when you talk to somebody and they're like, what kind of music do you play? And then you can either go, oh, I play punk music, so they're like, oh, like Green Day. And it's like,
I've gotten mad, and I played metal, oh, like Metallica.
Metallica.
And it's like, even if we say something like metalcore, which is probably closer to us, it's like, oh, like As I Die, it's like, kind of, I guess, it's somewhere around it, but it's still pretty different, you know?
I feel like we're like the redheaded stepchild of the music scene sometimes.
Or like hardcore punk is like, we're definitely not like the hardcore punk bands. I don't know, us. You gotta make up a genre that way people don't blast you for not having it.
Exactly.
being
I
a
mean,
genre.
you're bringing it back to the plumbing. I mean, we did call it toilet core for a while.
That's true.
That was our
Before I joined, it was toilet core.
that was our password on every social media for like the first 10 years.
The sticker on the toilet.
Until we got hacked and then we had to change it. No longer toilet core. Maybe it's because we keep telling people our password.
Your new song, Phantom Limb, what's the meaning behind that? What's the meaning of the story in the song?
Yeah, so
That's a
I guess
good
I have
one.
to take that one. So Phantom Limb is just about me being old, really. I think like when you're young, you feel like you have to belong to everything, and as you get older, you realize that like maybe you don't fit into every group, and it's okay to not fit in every group. So Phantom Limb is really just kind of about thinking about all the different groups that you felt like you were once part of, but now feeling like you're disconnected from them, but feeling like it's okay to just do your own thing. Yeah, it's a serious answer, I guess.
Now I get to know what it's about.
Yeah, and then Phantom Limb, like
Does it have anything to do with like when you get when there's an amputee?
well, the name originally of the song was "The Well Was Dry," but then Mitch said he didn't like having song names that have the lyrics right in the song name. So I had to think of something that made sense for the song, and I thought Phantom Limb was kind of like, it wasn't so on the nose right away, but like once you realize what the song is about, then you're like, all right, that makes a lot of sense. It's like, all right, you're no longer a part of this, but you feel like you're trying to be a part of it, you know?
Yes.
And I feel like the same, like, because the whole beginning of it is about like religion,
Yeah.
and like I've never been a religious person, but like I feel like there's a lot of good things about religion, but you don't have to say you're religious to like believe that you shouldn't kill people and steal and cheat, you know? And then like as the song goes on, it's the same thing. Like as a band, like we were just talking about, it's like we're not like I don't feel like I fit in with the hardcore scene or like the metal scene or anything. Like I feel like we play those shows and we're that style of music, but like we don't fit in with those crowds, you know? So like as a whole, I think it's I don't know, kind of all this different.
That's funny. I feel like probably a lot of people's like first experience with like a group and like feeling like, oh, I feel like this is something I need to belong to is church. That's weird.
Yeah.
Like I mean, for me it was kind of.
Yeah. Like there, you just it seems like that's the thing you do, right?
It's that's weird.
And then like and then when you get into high school, you're like, oh, I've got to fit in with the goths, or I got to fit in with the punks or the metal kids or the skaters or something. But then like as you get older, you're just like, how stupid is that I felt like I had to fit in with any of those? Like I could like skateboarding, but not have to like feel like I fit in with the skateboarders, you know? Like I don't know.
I got along with everybody.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Next question.
Are we gonna see another album soon? Is that coming up?
Mitch, are you gonna be recording this soon?
Yeah, I don't know, we haven't really discussed like what we want to do. Oh yeah, we haven't really discussed, you know, what we want to do as far as like total songs, you know, because kind of doing the single thing works really well because it's like something fresh on a regular basis. So I think you'd probably see something more like an EP soon
Yeah.
than a full album because we're all really busy and it takes a lot of work. Yeah, it's, you know,
literally
yeah, it's like, you know, to put, because and we always want, you know, really good stuff. So the amount of work we put into stuff, I feel like EPs or singles are better because then it happens more than once every 3 years, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
And honestly, like when you put out a full length, like even like with Anti-Melody, it's hard to call Anti-Melody a full length because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
what, 8 songs or something.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like you put out these 8 songs and you spend so much time on them, then only like 1 or 2 of them get like really any traction, and it's kind of like discouraging. Whereas like us putting out singles now or putting out a couple songs at a time, and like it feels like each song matters a little bit more.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So for a little bit, you guys were, your music was being distributed through Victory Records. What made you choose to go DIY?
Because being DIY, go for it.
Because they suck.
Being DIY was the same as being on the label.
It literally was. Yeah.
Like honestly, at the time, like we were booking our own shows and paying for our recording, and they like for me, like I've always booked our band pretty much for the most part, and like done a lot of the back end business stuff. So I was still doing that for the band, but on top of that, they were asking me to do that for other bands on the label. So it was like, well, now not only am I carrying the brunt for our band, but I'm carrying the brunt for their bands. And the only reason people think that we're getting more, you know, popularity, if you could even call that, is because they thought we were getting popularity because we were on the label. And it's like, they're not even doing anything for us.
Yeah.
So like, we're doing all the work, they're taking all the credit, and then they're asking us to do it for the other bands. So it just didn't make sense for us to stay on it. It's like, leaving it felt the exact same as being on it. At least to me, and like, I felt like I was like, for the most part, doing like, if anything, it was more stress, especially on me, because they were just nonstop saying like, all right, like, and maybe Corey to an extent, like, we need a t-shirt design here.
Yeah.
We need you guys to make a music video by like next week, and you guys got to find the person to make the video, and you guys have to pay for the video. So it's like, if you're just giving us a timeline, but we have to do it on our own, we do it on our own timeline, you know?
Yeah, and I think the whole DIY thing, that's great and dandy, but I think like it's cool to say like, oh, we've done this ourselves, but I mean that's how every band basically does it. So I don't think there's a whole lot of stigma behind it. I think it's just something you do as a band, and it was more than nowadays. That's the only way you can do it. I think 'cause labels are pretty much useless. I mean,
Every time like I hear any Friends band that says like they got on a label, I'm like,
so what?
What's it
Honestly,
doing for you?
yeah, like I don't want to burst their bubble. I'm like, be as happy as you want about
Yeah.
it, but like I'm sure like 6 months or a year down the line, like you're gonna be in the same place that you are today unless you're pushing twice as hard. you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So I feel like we already got our answer, but do you guys see yourself going back to a label anytime soon?
Unless someone really offers us something that we can't turn down, I guess,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I don't even know what they would be able to offer at this point. Because if a label came to us and said, like, do you want to tour 11 months out of the year? I think we'd all probably say no.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's like, there's nothing that a label could give us other than maybe like saying like, hey, we're going to help you fund an album. Like, okay, that'd be sweet. Let's
Yeah.
do that. But if they're just like, do you want to give us an album and we'll help you like distribute it?
Yeah.
Well, we can do that ourselves.
Yeah,
You know?
or if they want us to go on tour with like Slipknot or something, then that'd be
I'd
really
say
cool.
yes.
I'd say yes in a heartbeat.
Joan Jett. Alright.
Joan Jett?
Yeah, I toured Joan Jett.
Joan Jett or Slipknot? That's what we're holding out for.
Isn't Joan Jett touring right now?
Yeah,
With Park
yeah, she tours all the
and
time.
Elle King, which is
Oh,
the
wow.
weirdest lineup I've ever heard, but okay.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Isn't Elle King Rob Schneider's daughter?
Yeah, that's
I've
okay.
never
Then,
even heard of that.
Isn't Rob
What's
Schneider
El-
the hot chick?
yeah. Okay, here's your cringy thought of the day.
Yeah.
Rob Schneider has a daughter, which means he had sex.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rob Schneider.
Rob Schneider's like pretty attractive too, right?
Rob Schneider is a carrot.
Stupid.
He just walking down the step.
So going back to Phantom Limb, did you get to work with Kevin Atrasian from Dillinger Escape Plan directly, or did you just send him the work for it to be mastered?
Maybe this is your chance to shine.
Yeah,
here, Mitch,
right.
Because we did get it mixed and mastered by him, but
Okay.
Mitch did some of the work, from what I've heard.
Yeah. So where did it premiere again?
Metal Injection.
Yeah, it's just funny because I was reading like the Metal Injection like premiere thing. It was like Merrick Sanders worked with Kevin, recorded, mixed and mastered or something like that, the whole thing. But
Yeah.
we actually tracked the whole thing at my house, and I like did all the edits, I recorded everything, and then we sent it to Kevin, and he did the mixing and mastering, which he killed. It sounds amazing.
Yeah, he did.
But it's just, yeah, we were joking about earlier. It was like, you know, I want to credit it. It's, you know, it's theirs, but, you know, dozens of hours of work into it. It's no big deal. But no, it was cool. And we were talking about how awesome it was to kind of work on our own, too, with that part of it, with the tracking, because we were able to take as much time as we want to retrack things if we didn't like it. You know, Brandon got to do 3 different takes on vocals because he didn't like one before and then want to change back to the original, things like that. Which if we're working in a studio, you know, especially with Kevin, who, I don't know where he's based out of, but
Jersey.
yeah, Jersey, yeah. So if we had to fly to Jersey to do one vocal take, like,
Yeah.
you know, it's not even possible at this point.
There's literally like an entire version of this song that's only Corey, and
Yeah.
there's an entire version that's only me.
And then I went
doing
in and
vocals.
chopped it and put it, you know, how
And-
we decided.
And even when we recorded it, we didn't know which one we were gonna keep. And that's like when we were deciding like which one sounds better, like with Corey coming in or with me, you know, swapping back and forth. So yeah, that's something like if we went to a studio and we're paying per hour, like we just probably wouldn't be able to do.
Yeah.
But like Kevin, like you said, Kevin did crush it, and I think it was cheaper for us than normal, and it was a less stressful process, at least in my opinion. And
Yeah.
Mitch had to do a lot of the work, so.
Yeah. Yeah, but I can take my time
I'm
with
grateful
it.
for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's something we're gonna try to keep doing. You know, we were talking about that earlier too, is like, if we can keep that going where we just record it at my house, get to take our time with it, and then send it off to Kevin or whoever to mix and master it, that's just such an easier process, because it's gonna be cheaper, because tracking a song, getting it mixed and mastered is, you know, hundreds of dollars more if you have to go in and spend 2 days
Right.
tracking everything. So, and you might not even like how they do their thing, and we can spend as much time as we want being like, this is exactly how we want this, you know, little detail to sound. So.
And he was really stoked on like working with us, which was cool.
Yeah.
Like he was like everything we sent him, he was super enthusiastic about. Like he even sent us out. I think I know I shouldn't mention. I don't know if I showed you guys, but he sent us like a Christmas card and stuff like that
Yeah.
with him and his dog and stuff like that.
Oh,
So
that's
it's just
awesome.
like,
Yeah.
he's just like he was really like excited to be working with us, just as we were excited to be working with him. You know.
So how's it working with James Hall from After Church, the same song?
Yeah, so James crushed it. The funny thing about this, I don't know if I've like if we said this in front of Corey, but like the funny thing about this is like, or Steve, but like, so James actually recorded vocals on our first album on the song Bottom Feeder.
Yeah.
And so I was working with Alex Arvizu, which was in a band that I used to play in called You're Young, and also in this other band that we used to tour with called The Fair and Nair. And I really wanted him to like kind of challenge the way that I was doing vocals, like just like, so I always get in my comfort zone of like the types of patterns I do and stuff. So like with working with him, I was expecting Alex to do guest vocals. And then last second he said basically James was putting out some solo stuff and he wanted James to do the vocals for it. So James came into Mitch's house. I had an idea for a melody that I kind of hummed out to James. And then James went and crushed it and did way better than I ever would have expected.
In one take.
In one take. And then we had that for a couple weeks before we even showed Corey and Steve, because I felt weird about like sending them something that sounded so drastically different than us, just by like a phone, you know, by an email or a text message. So like the first time they actually heard it was when they came into Mitch's house and we all heard it together.
Yeah.
Which my impression, I'm wondering what Mitch thinks, but my impression was at first I didn't feel like Corey was like super on board for it at the very first listen. But then I feel like it may have grown on him. I could be completely wrong though.
Well, because it's like, because you know, we all know how James sings, and he has like pretty specific style to his voice and everything. And so Corey's like, oh, did he go? Because he's got that really cool way of singing where he's like moves notes a lot, and he kind of wanted to channel some like Keith Buckley style stuff on it, you know.
He's a soulful boy.
Exactly, and so Corey knew exactly what we were getting into with it, you know. And so I'm sure, and like at first, whenever you hear somebody else on your song, you're always kind of like, interesting choice, because you hear something else, you know. And then I think, but I mean, I'm assuming you like it, or you think the song. You know, Corey.
I like the song. I like it too.
Thanks, Steve.
Hey, I contributed.
Yay, teamwork! Teamwork makes the dream work.
No, Steve.
Do you have any what's your best and your worst tour story? Like,
Oh, worst tour story.
I got a good one.
This one time we had to cancel a show after driving for 10 hours.
oh, there we go. We got stuck in nowhere in
Two
New
quick
Mexico.
good ones, and then I'll pass it to you guys as you guys think is probably something much
I got a
better.
good one.
I absolutely, like, one of my most memorable tour stories was very recent when we played the Steak Sauce tour, Steak Sauce Mustache, and we did that roller skating rink. Because we got to play in the middle of a roller skating rink with people like skating around us the entire time, and like all the bands were sick. There's 2 stages. It was just like a really cool time. They were doing like basically like Mario Kart. Like people had balloons and they're trying to like skate around and pop each other's balloons. Like if you're playing like the challenge mode of Mario Kart Battle Mode. So that was really cool. And then the other is actually the very first tour that we did. So 2 of the guys weren't with us, but Corey might remember. But we got into, I think, Kansas City, and we were playing a place that we thought was just a normal music venue, and it ended up being like a comic book shop that they moved all the like, you know, the whatever, the tables and stuff to the sides, and it was this small little place like as big as this living room. And this guy Derek, he drove like 12 hours to come see us on our very first tour, and we were literally nobody at the time. Like no one should have cared about us. We drove like 4 hours to play this show, and this guy with his friend drove 12 hours to come see us in a comic book shop. And he was so stoked about it. Like, we felt bad because we're like, well, you drove all this way to see us play in this little bitty area. And he was like, no, this is the best thing ever, you know, like, he put up like a video blog of it, and it was just like the coolest, like, humbling thing. Because like, we're just like, why should anybody care about us, you know? Like, this is like probably year 1, right, you know? So this is,
A long time.
those are 2 like contrasting, like the first tour and the very last tour is just like I have no clue how, or I mean, it's just really cool when people actually go out of their way for us, but it's like, we don't expect anybody to do that, you know?
Yeah. Corey City had a good one.
Oh yeah, it's kind of gross. We played a show in Lancaster a long time ago, and it was at that IT place.
Industrial theater.
Yeah, we were at Industrial Theater, and our homie Lewis came with us. And so we got this hotel, and he went and took a shit, and it was so big that it wouldn't flush, and he didn't know what to do, so he had to take a hanger and poke at it.
This is a good tour story.
You would poke at it and break it down so it would go down the drain.
That's so gross.
I'm guessing the toilet wasn't an American standard.
It was not.
Probably not.
I think
That was so funny.
went from this heartfelt moment today to one time. This is shit.
Yeah, this is poop in the toilet.
What else? I mean, there were so many. I mean,
That's good.
Yeah, I know, right?
we played in San Diego a long time ago, and I got Mike Tyson's face tattooed headed on me.
At the boardwalk, we were on
Yeah.
the beach. And then we did the rest of the tour with the face tattoo. And then you met that old lady that kind of looked a little vaguely like your mom. And you were hanging out with us or hanging out with her in Vegas going around, and like you guys were both drinking those slushies.
I don't remember that.
I've got pictures of that.
I remember. Oh, that was that chick and her grandma.
Yeah.
And we were in Caesar's Palace, and I stole their drinks.
There's pictures of that like on Instagram, I think.
Yeah.
And like there's pictures of you guys just like hugging like you and that lady.
Yeah, I just took it. There's so many more.
I'd say I have. Who were we touring with when we? Or I think we were just doing our own run real quick, and we had our friends in Common War were playing. We're opening. No, dudes in Common War are also in Death by Stereo, and they were playing like the after party for Punk Rock Bowling. And we were driving through Vegas, and then we happened like they let us. Common War cut their set in half to let us play half of our set.
At the beauty bar.
At the beauty bar. So that's really cool. I think that we got to play with
Awesome.
Punk Rock Bowling, got to meet the dudes in Death by Stereo, and shout out to Common War because I love them.
To the best.
They're really cool dudes. That's a cool story, I think.
Yeah.
I remember on that drive when we were driving through, I can't remember what state we are, but
Right
one of
on
them sent Death Stare to us.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you heard that?
We were like, oh.
There's a part of that song where it's like a, one of those like big vocal things, and we were just sending him David the singer, just sending him messages all day, like, "What's up, dude?" Like, for the rest of the day.
Yeah. I think it's cool that we've done it long enough now to where like at this current time, there's like 3 or 4 of our buddy bands that are all touring like similar routes.
Yeah, it's
Like
so weird.
Cell
man.
Damage is playing like a very similar route as us.
They're in Tempe today.
Yeah, they're in Tempe
Yeah.
today. And then this band Sundress that we played with back home, they're like an indie band. They're just in Albuquerque a couple days ago. Then they went to Denver, and then they went to Salt Lake, and now they're in like Idaho. So they're playing a very similar route. And then what's the other band? And Steak Sauce Mustache. So Steak Sauce, the band we were talking about earlier, they're on like a much larger route, but they're playing a lot of the same cities. And then we're actually playing with them in Vegas in a few days. So like we've done it long enough now. It's like, well, when we go out now, a bunch of other people are touring and they're all like playing the same places. So everybody's like, oh, your sticker's here, or like I'm gonna leave this here for you, Or like Sundress was just playing in Denver and or Salt Lake, and they took a picture of our tickets for the show that's on sale in Salt Lake right now.
Alright.
So it's kind of a weird thing.
Yeah, there's a bunch of bands from Phoenix and all over.
Did you have any other good ones that you were thinking about, Corey?
What about you, Mitch?
Yeah.
Tour?
Tour.
Oh gosh. Oh man. Punk Rock Wolverine.
Punk Rock
man.
Wolverine.
Punk Rock Wolverine in San Francisco.
So that was my first tour. I'm touring in a band. I don't know if you knew that or not. That's what matters.
So we pulled up to the venue in San Francisco, and this guy, I don't think he was a promoter or worked there.
I think he ran the
Oh,
venue.
at Perez Tires?
No, in San Francisco. Oh, Perez, that's another good one.
That's another good one.
But no, this guy, we're in the van, and we're like in front of the venue, and he just walks up to it, and in passing, just under his breath, goes, touring band. And just
keeps walking.
keeps going.
Like-
So then later in the show, like when bands are playing, he then comes out from the back room with this large marionette doll, and he just starts dancing with it
And he's
in
like
the
walking around
crowd.
to people.
And like it was the weirdest
That was
thing.
on
But then I think
Mission
there was-
Street, right? Like that Vinny that was all tagged up and stuff?
Yeah, something like that. But then I think and then we took photos in the back on that staircase, remember Brandon? And there was
Yeah, yeah,
people like shooting up back there.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And
Oh
that Vinny
yeah.
clo-
in
that Vinny
San
closed down.
Francisco.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played there separately and had the exact same
Yeah.
experience. Yeah.
That Vinny closed down like a couple months after that.
Damn.
That was actually like a Save the Venue show that we played.
Was it? And then Perez. That was like South, like LA, almost
South
Compton.
Central,
Yeah, Compton. This tire shop. This guy owned this whole like block, and his name was Perez, and he put on these gnarly like punk shows at night in his tire shop, and he was the coolest dude.
Yeah.
And
Been there a few times.
yeah, he was great. But he would he would like be at the tire shop, he's like, I'll be right back, I gotta change, get ready for the show. He'd come back, full-blown black wrestling boots, no t-shirt, leather pants,
Trench
and this
coat.
long dark trench coat. And he would jump off the walls.
He's like Sting
He
from
was
WCW.
amazing. It was amazing.
Coming
It was
from the
just, and he's
rafters.
this little, just this tiny little dude, and he was
Yeah.
intimidating.
Yeah,
Very.
Yeah.
good times.
I don't know. The best tour story is we started off one of our tours in Vegas, and I just wanted to play some roulette that night, and I was just betting like $5 minimum bets all night, and I played for like hours. I was there, and I worked my way up to like $300 or something like that, and then Brandon came over. He had a few drinks that night, and he's like, "You're crazy, dude, stop!" And I just started he would tell me no, and I would just bet like $100 at a time, and I would like lose it all, and then come back up and go back down, and then I started off that tour by winning like $600 in roulette, and just I was eating sushi and like it was like the best because usually on tour you're eating like McDonald's and Taco Bell and stuff, you know. And but that tour I remember we went to Salt Lake City and I got like $80 of sushi. I was like, fuck it, whatever.
The last day of tour.
What was that?
The last day of tour.
Oh yeah, that's true.
We're
It's gonna be the
playing
opposite. I'm gonna lose
Yeah.
all my money. Yeah.
Honestly, I never bet $100 at a table at a time.
Yeah.
Until I saw you doing that. Now I do it all the time.
Hell yeah.
Now I do it all the time.
Cool. Some good ones.
Alright, my last question is, do you guys prefer venues or house shows?
Ooh.
I think I prefer to play house shows, like the concept of a house show, but I think the idea of like actually playing a house show is so much more stressful, especially on tour. Like playing a house show is normally better than playing any venue show, but if you're on the road and playing a house show, the entire time you're thinking, well, I hope the cops don't come before we play, because we're
Yeah.
probably gonna play last.
Exactly.
And they're playing really loud, and there's neighbors right next door, so the chances this is gonna go to 10 or 11 are very small, you know. But I mean, we haven't had too many. We've had a couple house shows that have been closed down as soon as we got done playing.
Oh, well, that works.
Oh no.
that one in the
The
basement.
Titanic one almost.
Yeah.
Freaking.
I don't know if you want to tell that
The
story. I don't
Underground
know if Kelsey watches your videos.
Like the Underground Railroad, remember that?
Yeah.
Trying to get all those kids out of there?
Yeah, we played a house show once where the cops came, and we were playing in the basement at the time, and the cops came, and everybody's like, turn off the lights in the basement. They're like, everybody be quiet, everybody get down. So it's like us in a sea of like 40 or 50 kids, just like sitting up like Indian style on the floor with the lights off, and like you just hear the cops yelling upstairs and like arresting people. And then like for a little bit, like we're like, wait, like Corey and I are like, wait, we're over 21. Why are we even worried about this? We can just.
It was
walk.
like they had a keg there, and there was obviously like underage kids, so they were all freaking out. But like Brandon said, we were like, I'm out of here. So we just walked out the front door.
But like they were in like a room like this size with everybody like sitting in the dark, sitting Indian style, like tripping balls because they all thought they were gonna get arrested.
But so what they were doing is the kids, they would go. What were they doing? They would go upstairs from the basement, but then go out the back door, jump the fence, and as soon as they jumped the fence, there's like an alleyway. So they were like running down the alley like crazy. But there was like kids like, come on, let's go, like ushering kids through the alley. Like it was like some kind of like, I don't know.
So stressful.
It was crazy.
Yeah. Good times.
But I don't know. Back to the question at hand.
House shows and venues.
I don't know. I guess it's just whatever the vibe is a good show.
Yeah.
So.
Just playing a house show is very DIY.
It is. It's for sure a different vibe.
I think at a house show, no one really cares how bad you sound.
Yeah, yeah.
And no one cares if one band's a metal band, the other band's a hip hop band. Like everybody's just there to have fun, which is like to the detriment sometimes. Because then, like, who knows if they're actually gonna be your fan or if they're just there to drink because there's a kid, you know?
Yeah.
And house shows are sketchy. Remember that house show in Kansas City where the floor was bowing?
Yeah.
Where everybody was jumping for this one band, and you could see it was probably a room about this big.
That's the A. Peter show.
Yeah.
Oh,
God,
yeah.
And
Was it
so
still bowing
the
there?
floor, yeah, no, the
I
floor
don't
was.
remember
You could
that.
see the floor was moving maybe 2-3 inches.